slope of a line. We're gonna study slope of a line because winter's almost here and we're gonna go skiing and then we're gonna go down the mountain. And is it gonna be a really steep mountain? If it's a really steep mountain, it's got a big slope that we gotta go up. But we don't ski uphill, we ski downhill. So if we're gonna ski downhill, we're gonna go down a really steep slope unless we're kind of scared we're gonna do a bunny slope. Then we might just do a good old green fashion slope where it's like chug, chug, chug. Just a nice easy slope downhill. Or if we're feeling a little bit more advanced. And then if you're crazy, you're gonna get steeper and steeper. All right, that's what we're talking about today. Slope of a line. So here's our little guy. He is cruising. He's always going left to right because which direction do we read? Left to right. So our little man is always going left to right. And the question is, what is the slope of the line? So on this one, he is going left to right and he is walking uphill. So don't even worry about the number value of this slope, but we know that he's going uphill and uphill is positive. In the second one, he's going downhill. Why? Because from left to right, he's going down. So this is a negative slope. And then here he is just taking a chill little walk. No slope whatsoever. Nice and easy. This would be zero slope. Or you can call it no slope. And then he runs into this wall. He's got a sad face. This is one of those names or words in math that just doesn't work. And since he runs into this wall, it is not zero slope, but it is undefined. Kind of reminds me of back in the day when I used to go rock climbing and we'd like rock climb up this crazy hill and it's like steep as could be, straight up, vertical line, and they would call it crazy things like 13 forward. Oh my goodness, could you see those handholds? And I like did this like fist, grab to like keep myself balanced. Awesome. Anywho, so you got a positive slope, negative slope, zero, and undefined. So this is definitely all the things you need to be writing down. And let's please put down your slope is equal to m. I always remember m because of mountains have slopes and m then therefore represents slope. Supposedly the rumor is that m is actually some French word that means slope of some sort. It is equal to the rise over the run. So how much you go up or down, and then how much you go over. Rise over run. And then make sure you get down this, which we won't use right away. We're going to first figure out the slope by just counting rise over run. But then, what is the rise? Well, the rise is a y-axis. So we're going to do the change in y, because it's the rise, over the change in x. And wait a minute, oh, that's right, the x is the run. So that makes sense, it's the rise over the run. And then we have this fantastic little formula. This says y sub 2, not y squared. Y sub 2, that's like y number 2. Y sub 2 minus y sub 1, that's like y, the first y. Over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. And when we simplify that down, you will get the slope. So let's do this problem, but let's first do it by counting. We just want to figure out what the rise over the run is. So in order to figure that out, we've got 2 points. One point is 2, -1. The other one is over here, -1, 1. And I want to figure out the slope of this. Well, first off, just looking at it, going left to right, does it go uphill, downhill, zero, or undefined? This is a negative slope. You can tell, going left to right, it's going downhill. So we already know the answer is going to be a negative. So if you want, you could start with putting out my slope is equal to a negative. But let's figure out how we would know that. Well, if you go from this point to this point, you are going up, rise 1 spot, 2 spots. So that was 2 spaces that you go up. And then you're going over 1 spot, 2 spots, 3 spots. But how I think of it is when you're running, wait a minute, it's like the number line. You're going to the left, so that's a -3. So how I think of it is my slope is actually equal to a rise from this point to this point, because you want to go just vertical and just horizontal. Rise of 2, and the run is a -3. What does that mean? My slope is -2/3. The other way of doing it is with this formula, y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So let's write down our 2 points again. My first point, actually doesn't matter. Whichever point you'd want to use first is fine. I was pointing at that one, so we'll use that as our first point. So 2, negative 1. And my second point, I'm going to box this so we don't get confused. My second point will be negative 1, 1. And you can find those points by either being given them, or you can look at the line and see, oh, it goes through that point. That's definitely one of them. So as we know, in an ordered pair, you have an x point, and you have an x coordinate, and you have a y coordinate. So what if I called this x number 1 and y number 1? Because it's the first point. Fine. And then I could call this x and y also, but instead I'll call it x number 2 and y number 2. It's kind of like John Smith and John Williams. So our formula's right here. I'm going to copy it over there so that I don't have to keep looking back. Slope is equal to y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So looking at what matches with what, my y sub 2 is right here, and my y sub 2 is a 1. So I'm going to plug in for y sub 2, 1. Subtract y sub 1. Well, what's my y sub 1? It's a negative 1. All over, what is my second x? My second x is negative 1. See how it matches? And then I'm going to subtract my first x. Look at what matches with my first x. It is a 2. So now, all we need to do is simplify. So, 1 minus negative 1, well, as we know, 1 minus negative 1 is actually like adding. So I have 1 plus 1, which is 2. Very good. And then on the bottom I have negative 1 and negative 2, or negative 1 plus a negative 2, which is negative 3. Well, wait a minute. Is that the answer I got before? Yay! So I was able to figure this out in more than one way, and that's what you're going to do. All right, slope of a line. Have a good day.
Y, slope of a line. Ooh, yes, I love it. Put it in the happy place. Slope equals m, a variable, and we have the rise over run. What is the rise over the run? Well, the rise over the run is actually the change in y over the change in x. What do you mean? Well, I mean, you can use this lovely equation, y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Ah, lovely. Thank you, slope.